Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Tiny Blue Games. My name, of course, is Seesaw or Chris, and today we're playing Guild Wars 2. Wow, a lot has changed since I logged into Guild Wars 2 last. I mean, you know me, I play a lot of games, so I wasn't like super in the know onto what was going to happen for Guild Wars 2. But wow, did they do a lot of changes. The two big things, specializations, which for what I understand, is pretty much our traits, but different, which we'll talk about in this video. And then the wholly, like, just completely redone Lion's Arc, which we will talk about in another video, as well as my favorite spots, because there is some really cool looking stuff in this city. Like, it's really cool. But like I said, we were going to talk about specializations and generally what's happened to traits and stats and that kind of stuff. So H still opens your character panel. I know that. But that's where things change a bit. If you go to your build area, it looks completely different, and you're probably going to be terrified. Actually, no, let's back up. Push rewind. No, let's back up a second here. Once you log in, it's going to tell you a little thing, a little blurb about specializations, and then it's going to make it so your specializations are set up in the most similar way to how your build was before. So they're going to try and match your build. It might not be perfect, as some traits aren't in existence anymore, and there's some new traits and all that. But that's the first thing you're going to get, and you're going to push OK. Then you're going to go H, and you're going to go check out what you just did. So on the left here, we have all the traits. And as I'm in PvE, so outside of the PvP lobby, I don't have everything unlocked yet. Right here we have our skill bar, which we have our weapons, and then we can change all of our utility items. So that's just, same thing, works the same way. This, however, is completely different. This is what our traits were. And it's not completely different, but it is different. All right, cool. So they're different. But it's also still kind of the same thing. You've got 3 specializations you can have active at once, fully. So you can have like 9 specific traits by the looks of it. The actual layout is still kind of the same, where you have a small trait, then you have a bigger one that you actually choose out of a bunch of them. You get a small one, you get a bigger one, and you get a small one and a big one. So there's, the same sort of tiers as before. It's a bit different where you have specifically 3 that you go into versus before, where you could have some builds where they all went to like, level, the very first one or something like that. So there's less of that and more sort of specialized, like they're called specializations, I guess. So that makes sense. When we click on the icon here, you can choose out of 5 different specialization types, which are still the same kind of areas as before. We got honor, zeal, radiance, virtues, and valor. Right now I'm in valor, as I'm on my guardian. I guess I should have mentioned that, but you guys could have probably seen that already. And you can see here, you get a lot of the same things you had before. You've got, which one I chose here? Lose condition, condition set time in full, health, cure conditions, gain protection. A lot of it is kind of similar to what we had before. And the very end ones especially are pretty similar. Apply a boon to allies, you heal. Use a meditation skill, heals you, and applies fury. So this was something we had before. Strength in numbers. Nearer allies gain toughness based on the, so we had, these are a lot of the traits we had before. And that's going to be very similar throughout every character you look at. A lot of the traits are going to be similar. Some traits were removed. For one, I know that Ricochet on my thief was removed, which is really upsetting because I was actually building a build video involving Ricochet, so that's set me back a little bit, but well, whatever. Ultimately, it looks pretty cool. It looks a lot nicer, and it does make sense how it works like this. I like the animation and stuff. It looks really nice. So there's that, and it's not super different. You choose 3 of them. You can have 3 of them there. You go all the way to the end. It's not that complicated to understand. Now we're going to talk about the actual skills and unlocking them. So you go to this new thing called training, which, sounds new and looks kind of scary, but it's not that different. So, I freaked out for a second, but I understand it now. So hero points have in some way replaced skill points. Um, However, I feel like instead of having a certain amount that you have now, there's just a continuous amount that you keep on building on top of. And with your hero points, you can train your core specializations or your core skills. So in our core skills, we see we have spirit weapons, meditations. These are all your utility slot items. So for one, let's go and look at some shouts, because I don't use shouts often in PvE. Obviously, I just have been using meditations, but that's what it put it to, because that's what I was using last. So that's what they meant by that. So shouts, you see here I have 0 training den, 0%. I can spend 2 and get the receive the light shout, which I'll do. I'll train, push yes, it goes up there, I got it, we're at 8.3%, and that's all it is. You can train again to get to the next one. Boom, you're done. Now it goes up to 3, which doesn't look like a lot considering I have 307, so we'll just try that again. Now it bumps up to 4. We'll do that. Bumps up to, it's 4 again. And then the very last one, of course, bumps up to 9, but that's one of our ultimates. If I remember correctly, it is. So we'll bump that up, and it's fully 100% trained. Now, I heard that you should be able to have enough hero points at level 80 to pretty much make whatever you want, which is great. So it shouldn't really set you back that far when you deal with all this when you come on. Just, be aware that it looks different, but it still works fairly similar. Because I kind of freaked out. I didn't really know what was going on. But it makes sense when you start getting into it. Man, these flowers are really nice looking. The other thing that's changed, and this has changed in terms of our builds in general, is the condition damage and the caps on conditions. So before, when you were playing Guild Wars 2, you could only get 25 bleeds on a target. Or stacks of bleeds on a target. And this is no longer true. You can get up to 1,500 or something total on a target. Which, you'll never do by yourself, obviously. Even a huge group will never do that. But that's what's changed. So you're able to apply more stacks. So my rogue or my thief rather, can now get above 25 by himself. He can get up to 30 or something like that for a short period of time, which is really cool. Because before it seemed like, you were applying stacks still, but it wasn't doing anything. And because of that, it seemed like condition damage wasn't really worthwhile. Now, you're also going to hear from a lot of your friends that condition damage seems a bit OP right now. And maybe it is, but they've also buffed it up. They wanted it to be more powerful than it was before. They wanted it to be more available than it was before. So it's gotten stronger, and some people have to get used to that, obviously. In terms of how it's gotten stronger, well, the base damage, I think, was upped for a lot of them. But also a lot of them act differently. So burning now can stack as well. So you can have 4 stacks of burning or something like that, which will hit a lot more than 1 stack of burning will. Just like bleeds in that sense. And burning is actually the most damaging of the conditions. And it's meant to be like that, but it is also thought to be the one that's a bit unbalanced right now. And that's something that they're probably going to look into. I'm not entirely sure. Other things such as poison can stack as well, but it does not stack an increased healing debuff, unfortunately. So it kind of works just like a lesser bleed in some sense, which is kind of unfortunate. It would be cool if you could stack healing debuff, but I kind of get why that might be an issue. At least it hasn't from what I've seen, but I don't know. So anyways, how do I feel about the condition changes and all that? I've played a few rounds of PvP, and I haven't noticed a ton of difference. I went on my thief, and it was cool getting more than 25 stacks. You do feel pretty powerful in AoE kind of situations, so that was fun. And then I heard burning was super overpowered, so I had to go on my guardian and try to burn as many people as I could. And you do a lot of damage, but I still was dying. And I mean, maybe that's just because I suck on my guardian sometimes, but I didn't feel overpowered necessarily. But maybe I'm not aware of how people are playing with it right now. At any rate, I'd like to hear your guys' feedback on the new update to, pretty much to how your skills work in general. So they've completely changed that, and condition damage and all that. I'd love to hear your guys' feedback on it. like I said, I'm going to do another video soon here, just exploring Lion's Ark and looking at my favorite places and all that, and all the new things to do. So stay tuned for that. Hopefully you guys like this video. I try to be as informative as I can, but this is all new for me as well. So till next time, guys, thanks for watching.